Today is Wednesday, September 27th, 2023, and this is the Dunkley Report. President Joe Biden has joined picketing United Auto Workers in Michigan on the 12th day of their strike against major car makers. It's a demonstration of support for organized labor, unparalleled in presidential history. He told workers Tuesday to stick with it. He exchanged fist bumps with grinning workers a day before former President Donald Trump makes his own visit to meet with UAW members. Biden has repeatedly sided with the UAW during the strike. Strikers chanted, "No deals, no wheels," and "No pay, no parts," as Biden arrived at the General Motors distribution center west of Detroit. Congress is starkly divided over very different paths to preventing a federal shutdown. The Senate is charging ahead with a bipartisan package to temporarily fund the government and bolster Ukraine aid and U.S. disaster funds. The House is slogging through a long-shot effort to pass various funding bills with no real chance of finishing by Saturday's deadline. The stakes are rising with just days remaining before a federal closure. A shutdown would furlough millions of federal employees, leave the military without pay, disrupt air travel, and cut off vital safety net services. The White House says it's up to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to keep the budget deal he made with President Joe Biden. The Federal Trade Commission and 17 state attorney generals have filed an antitrust lawsuit against Amazon. They allege the e-commerce behemoth uses its position in the marketplace to inflate prices on and off Amazon, overcharge sellers, and stifle competition. The complaint is the result of a years-long investigation into Amazon's businesses and one of the most significant legal challenges brought against the company in its nearly 30-year history. The agency and states that joined the lawsuit are asking the court to issue a permanent injunction that they say would prohibit Amazon from engaging in its unlawful conduct and restore competition. Amazon says the FTC is wrong on the facts and the law. Senator Bob Menendez is coming under heavy pressure to resign from office as he faces federal bribery allegations. About half of the Democrats in the Senate, including fellow New Jersey Democrat Cory Booker, now say Menendez should step down. Booker says the federal indictment of Menendez includes shocking allegations of corruption and specific disturbing details of wrongdoing. Menendez has so far rejected the calls to step aside, but has not yet said whether he will run for re-election. He is accused of using his position to aid the authoritarian government of Egypt and to pressure federal prosecutors to drop a case against a friend, among other allegations. Indian and Canadian diplomats steered clear of their country's row over the killing of a Sikh separatist leader when they addressed the UN General Assembly, but their speeches Tuesday obliquely underscored key talking points. Foreign Minister Subramanyam Jaishankar said that the world must not countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence. Canadian UN Ambassador Robert Ray insisted that countries cannot bend the rules of state-to-state relations for political expediency. But neither got specific or named the other's country. Relations between the two countries frayed after Canada's Prime Minister said last week that India may have been involved in the June killing. India calls the allegation absurd. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law that will raise taxes on guns and ammunition. The federal government already taxes guns at 10% or 11%. The law Newsom signed on Tuesday adds an 11% tax on top of that. The money will pay for things like security improvements in public schools and violence prevention programs. The law takes effect July 1, 2024. Newsom also signed a law to overhaul the state's rules for carrying concealed weapons. The California Rifle and Pistol Association has promised to challenge California's new gun laws in court. Newsom said he believes the laws are legal. A political advisor to Rudy Giuliani is slamming Hunter Biden's lawsuit against the former mayor. Hunter Biden sued Giuliani and another attorney on Tuesday, claiming the two wrongly accessed and shared his personal data after obtaining it from the owner of a computer repair shop. Giuliani advisor Ted Goodman says it was false to claim Giuliani manipulated the laptop hard drive, but that he was not surprised, considering the sordid material and potential evidence of crimes on that thing. The lawsuit is the latest in a new strategy by Hunter Biden to strike back against Republican allies of Donald Trump who have traded and passed around his private data, including purported emails and embarrassing images, in their effort to discredit President Joe Biden. J.P. Morgan Chase has agreed to pay $75 million to the U.S. Virgin Islands to settle claims that the bank enabled the sex trafficking acts committed by financier Jeffrey Epstein. J.P. Morgan said Tuesday that $55 million of the settlement will go toward local charities and assistance for victims. Another $20 million will go toward legal fees. The Virgin Islands, where Epstein had an estate, sued J.P. Morgan last year, arguing that J.P. Morgan had been complicit in Epstein's behavior and did not raise any red flags to law enforcement or bank regulators. The Speaker of Canada's House of Commons is resigning for inviting a man who fought for a Nazi military unit during World War II to attend a speech by the Ukrainian president. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered an address in the House of Commons on Friday. Canadian lawmakers a moment later gave 98-year-old Yaroslav Hunka a standing ovation when Speaker Anthony Rota drew attention to him. Rota introduced Hunka as a war hero who fought for the 1st Ukrainian Division. It later was publicized that the 1st Ukrainian Division also was known as the Waffen-SS Galicia Division, or the SS 14th Waffen Division, a voluntary unit that was under the command of the Nazis. The strike by Hollywood screenwriters is over. Leaders of the Writers' Union declared their nearly 5-month-old strike over Tuesday, after board members approved a contract agreement with studios. The governing boards of the eastern and western branches of the Writers Guild of America both voted to accept the deal, and afterward declared that the strike would be over and writers would be free to work starting at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. The vote came after numerous writers joined striking actors on picket lines. The writers' deal brought renewed optimism to the pickets. There are currently no negotiations set between the actors and the alliance of studios, streaming services, and producers. Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the World News for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. Thanks again for joining us at The Dunkley Report.